meeting of the North Bennington Graded School Prudential Committee to order at 6:30. And our first order of business is to see if there are public comments. I don't see anybody looking to make public comments. So we'll move on to the finance report, but I think we will skip and see if Mary shows up to discuss the treasurer's report, which I don't think there was anything unusual about. We'll go to the consent agenda. Well, usually we do introduce ourselves, but in Zoom, we're all introduced. We all have names and markers, and I don't see that as being a significant thing to do. The consent agenda consists of the warrants and the minutes from the meeting of September 8th. So should I review the warrants? The warrant? I'll just review the rough items. The total amount to the warrant is $320,262.90. There's a payment to Cross Masonry and Stonework for a foundation repair on the gymnasium that was needed to get done before school started. I already vouched for that, so we're just giving the board's total approval to that expenditure. And that will come from the money that we put into the budget for building repairs reserve fund. And while we're operating for the year, we take money out for repairs that have to be done during the year. Then there is last month we had a prebate check to the village of North Bennington, which was the money that was in our possession that belonged to the village. And unfortunately, before Mary deposited it into the village account, she lost it. So it has been canceled and reissued.
That Mary.
Yeah, she couldn't find it. She searched high and low, apparently couldn't find it. And then the rest of the warrant, there's a payment to payroll payment to Mary, a portion for yearly salary. And then there is Lori's payment for minutes for last month. And tuition payments to Grace Christian for 2 children and to Sacred Heart for 4 children and South Shore Community School for 2 children that we left off of last month because we didn't have residency affidavits from them to vouch for their actual residency in the village, but that was cleared up. And then the bundle of payments to the supervisory union for administrative services, audit, elementary resource room, finance services, HR administration, preschool program, SPED administration, SPED early childhood program, and tech administration, totaling $127,000. I have one question there, Laura. Can you tell me that elementary resource room, that's Shasbury?
I'm not sure, but I can make a note and find out for you. Sure.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's just the SPED budget. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Yep.
just our contribution to SPED
Yes.
budget.
Yep.
The way it was designated.
Yep.
Through me a little bit. And then there's tuition to the Village School of North Bennington for 109 students. And I already talked about the rebate transfer. So that total, as I said, from the is $320,262.90. And we have the minutes. So I would appreciate a motion to approve both parts of the consent agenda as a whole.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded? Was it
Second.
second?
that.
Kiernan.
Kiernan? Okay, thank you. So any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Say aye or raise your hand so we know that you're voting. That's all of us. Thank you. Next, policies. There are none. The policy committee hasn't met since the start of the year. I see Leon there. I am not criticizing Leon. There are reasons why this happens, I'm sure. So, and I just as soon not see a whole bunch of policies right now. Superintendent's report. The superintendent, Jim Colkeen, is attending the Arlington meeting this evening. So Laura Boudreau is here and Melissa Senecal. And they're going to talk about, well, I'll let them introduce it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. So again, I'm Laura Boudreau, I'm the assistant superintendent, and
I'm Melissa Senecal, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment.
And we just wanted to take a few minutes tonight to update you about the district's recovery work. Part of a state requirement that came out during the pandemic and during the last school year was the request from the state of Vermont for the district as a whole to create a recovery plan to address this period of time and support students. There are 3 pillars.
So this, of course, we receive funding through the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds, also known as ESSER. And the 3 pillars that we had to look at data and then give recommendations for a plan by the state of Vermont were social emotional learning, mental health and well-being, engagement of students and truancy, and academic success. So those were the 3 pillars we had to make sure that we focused collecting data and creating the plan for.
So part of the requirement, and it's not, it's a ever moving process. So the first step, we had a deadline to complete a state plan in the spring. And so part of the requirement was public input, community input. And so we have on our website, there is, if you go to www.sbsu.org, right on our front homepage, there's a recovery tab. And you can click on that. And so one of the tabs is team membership. So not only did we have representation from district staff, but we also had community members that sat on a team that met regularly with Melissa and I as the co-chairs of that team. And then we also visited the Bennington Education and Workforce group. We sent a survey to all of our families and all of our staff to solicit feedback. And then we had to submit all the ways that we communicated to the state for approval, along with the plan that the team developed as a result of all of the feedback and the data that we were able to review. So the plan that we submitted is posted again on that recovery tab on our website. And we thought we'd just give you a couple of ideas of things that as a large whole district we're focused on. So I'll start, I'll give one. So if I go to the area of academic achievement, we are one of our action steps is to think about just the structure of a school day and the school year. And one of our action steps is to convene a group to just look at that, to brainstorm and rethink, what did we learn from the pandemic? What's some positives that we took away? And then another focus area in that area is literacy and our shift to the science of reading. And what are the things that we need to support the entire system to do that?
Some of the other things that we've started to look at, and again, this will be a 3-year process, was making sure with engagement and truancy, we had some family engagement, some people that could go out and do some family engagement. And so part of the hiring that we did was 2 different family engagement specialists at the elementary level, one at our middle school level and one at our high school level. And so we want to make sure that the families are being encouraged to engage in all of our schools. And again, we're just here to make sure that you know about this particular button and that you click and review the plan. And the very last button is a feedback form. Even if there's just questions, if you don't have any specific, if you look it over and you just have some more questions, we do review it at least once a week, if not more than that, to make sure that we're trying to make sure that we're addressing everybody's needs, because this will be a multi-year plan of recovery.
Well, thank you. That's all we came to
Thank
share.
you.
this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions? Nobody has any questions. Okay. Well, I think we'll have to look at the tab and see what's there. Okay, so I guess we're moving on rapidly to the chair's report, which I will hopefully keep brief. The first item was responses to our certification form. We got actually 1 from Long Trail, correctly filled out and informative. Payments, we just made payments to North Bennington students enrolled in K-6 grades at Sacred Heart and Grace Christian. The amounts were in the warrant. Found the advice of Dina Atwood on writing a letter which she will then review and approve to go with those payments. So once that letter is completed, the payments will be sent out, hopefully by early next week, maybe before that. To just talk about what conditions there are on this in terms of following our particular policies. Then, since I have nothing more to say on that right now, does anyone else want to comment on that? Have any comments about those payments? Okay.
Nope.
We've had an item about participation in a solar project for several months. And basically, because our roof wasn't correctly oriented and structured for a decent project, we've been looking for a way of participating in another solar array of some sort. But mostly that would be to help the village school reduce its electrical expenses. And a proposal has been made by Karen Jernigan at Power Guru, which I think Tim has seen. I don't know whether he has an interest in that or not, because it had a limitation about the amount of power that it covered.
Oh, I think
So I'll invite Tim to respond to that if he wishes.
you guys hear me.
Yep.
Really?
So it does sound like a worthwhile thing for us to further investigate. I think we can only make one of these connections to a supplier as far as the way it works through Green Mountain Power. So I think if we can do that through this Power Guru, I think it may be a benefit to us and benefit to the community, and it also offsets our energy footprint. So I think it's something that we are going to try and pursue.
Tim, could you get that mic closer to you
Or turn it up?
or turn it up or something?
Here, is it working better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So I missed the latter part of what you
Yeah,
were saying.
so, no, I was just saying that it sounds like a reasonable proposal for us. From my understanding is, the limitations on, we can only partner with one provider on this. And
Okay,
so I think Solar Guru sounds like a good position for us to be in, at least for a while. Down the road, there may be another opportunity. Who knows what will present itself? But I think this seems like a good proposal, and I think it's worth for us further investigating and potentially trying to move forward. And I love the idea of just reducing our global footprint.
yep. All right, well, we'll look forward to hearing more on that. Hopefully that will work out and help the school some.
Thank you.
Yep,
I think there's just a whole lot of educational opportunity there too with the kids
yep,
at a great age to see what's going on when in the, maybe field trips or whatever to where it's going down, and
Yeah. No, I think it'd be great.
it's great.
We went over residency numbers last month, and I don't think they've changed substantially, except we did add the 2 students at South Shire. We already knew the students at Sacred Heart and Grace, and I think we knew the village school numbers and South Shire and UESD numbers. So I will try to update it. I didn't put together anything for an update on that this month. And finally, the last item is the request to put a bench in honor of Gene McWaters on school grounds. And this was proposed by Kathy Vellen McWaters and a number of former, I think, retired art teachers from the SDSU, some of whom taught at North Bennington, but some of whom knew Jean from when she was in the system as a traveling support staff in art, and was well appreciated. So I sent the sketch around, did I? Or did I not?
Well, I got it somehow.
Yeah, okay, so wait a second. So there's a drawing in there of just a freehand sketch of a masonry bench structure with a large slab on top for sitting on, and then I assume these are stone pieces underneath that support it, because the person who they've talked to is a dry laid stone mason with credentials. He's part of various societies that encourage that kind of dry laid stonework.
So what they're, if I may interrupt, Ray, what
Sure.
they are doing is, Kathy and I have talked, and I've talked with a bunch of the other art teachers as well, and they jumped at the idea when I proposed that they use the marble from the sidewalks and things like that from North Bennington. So again, it'll tie in sort of the history of the community. So they're gonna, some of those ones, those slabs that were just picked up off of Bank Street will then be recycled or revitalized into the bench construction. So they'll be brought over there, and the mason will actually work on it. He'll craft it right there on site. So the students will also get to see the building of this and how the handwork is done and things like that. So I think it's going to be a spectacular opportunity for them as well, to see his work in person.
That's great.
So I had a question about, I maybe added a step or piece of this that isn't there. Was was Norm going to set a platform up of stone for him to
Well,
work on, or is he?
I'm hoping that you approve it because that already happened today.
Well, I did send a note out that saying, I had some queries, but I said to go ahead, and then I had some things that I thought they needed to decide that weren't obvious from what has been talked about. Like whether it's right on the sidewalk, at the edge of the sidewalk or slightly off, because it might make it would make a difference in terms of lawn care. And
snow removal and all
and
the.
snow removal and all that stuff. And if the concrete has to be taken up at some point because of a crack and we replace it.
So Tim, is it a sure pack stone just like crushed stone foundation that he
Yeah,
put in?
for right now, it's just crushed stone, and then they'll put, right now it's just stone, and then they'll probably put the crushed stone in there to secure it a little more, and then he'll start to build on top of that.
And will he
Okay.
build with the marble? I apologize, I should be looking back at the drawings that were submitted, but will there be a marble floor to this thing and then a bench, or will the bench be in the stone?
So I think, I don't know exactly what he's gonna decide, so I don't want to speak for him. But the bench will be a pretty solid marble piece, and then they talked about putting a piece of bluestone in front of it for a footrest, so it doesn't, so that there's a permanent place so that it doesn't just get, slowly
Like a
destroyed. or
playground,
broken
get
down.
dug out
Yeah.
under a swing or something, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I had in my email this morning was whether there was going to be grass between this and the sidewalk.
I
That's
don't
basically
believe,
the question.
I don't believe there will be.
It'll be tight, so there won't be a lawn issue in front of it that has to be mowed.
There shouldn't.
right. Okay. And the other thing was whether it's following the contour, the slope of the walkway, or whether it's leveled, which would mean it would be maybe 6 inches higher at the lower end, which probably is not right.
It's not a huge piece that they've put in, so it's a pretty level
Yeah, okay,
lot already.
right. Okay. So Norm did get that over there today and install it, basically. Drop it in. Did he do a little digging to level it up? He got rid of the grass and.
He dug a section up and filled it with stone,
Mhm.
and then the mason will go from there as to whether he needs to put the stone dust in and all that sort of stuff.
So this is similar to what happened in McWaters Park at the kiosk for the permaculture. The stairway that was built from the street level down to the park, where that was marble from the supplies at the highway department that a couple of guys worked on, carved up.
Who did that job?
One of the guys' name is Joshua, but because there's a little thank you note written on the slate backboard there on the kiosk I built. That the slate came from the school as well, and it says thank you to Joshua, and his brother also helped him. So I've forgotten his name.
I think it's worth noting that kiosk, which is beautiful, is the second one built by none other than Mr. Ray Molyneux,
Yep.
right on the road there. And again, the slate came from the North Bennington Graded School. And the steps added a great, more simple access to it, as opposed to going around or trying to negotiate that.
Well,
that
a
hill.
lot of people were negotiating that steep slope going down, and some of the members of the permaculture group are older, so
Yeah.
it was kind of a tenuous situations. Unfortunately, these stairs are in there now.
No, the whole place is coming together down there beautifully, but that's off topic, but
Yep. Well, it just has to do with Jean McWaters.
That's
because she
correct.
was honored, she and her husband were both honored there.
yep.
So that sounds great. I thank you, Tim. In my email, I said you and Kathy are basically the eyes and ears of this committee for what's going on in that project. So appreciate your oversight.
No, I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for it. Thank you.
Yep. And it'll be a learning experience for children as well. Come out and watch him work for a while. Okay. I don't really have any, I don't have another, so if someone else has another that they'd like to speak to. Nobody has another. Okay.
Nothing. Everybody wants
Right.
to go away. What was
But,
that?
what? Sorry.
Ray, the only thing I have is that on November 2nd, there will be the polls will be open for a vote for the bond for the renovation of Spinelli Field.
Right.
Mary's here, right?
What?
Mary's here.
Oh, Mary. Okay, Mary, you're here.
She's connecting to audio.
Okay.
Mary.
Hi, Mary. Okay, do you have anything to say about the treasurer's report today?
No, sorry, I just got back in from something else I was doing. But I just wanted to mention that we did get the large influx, $611,000 from the state. So that carries us over nicely until the next one in December and the tax funds. So we should be all set. I will be making a deposit for a pre-tax payment in October before the end of this month, or actually probably before we get to November 20th, which is when municipalities make their tax payments to the school. But I'll likely make a prepayment before then, so that it doesn't impact holding any checks for the November meeting.
Okay. All right. Leon, did you want to speak to the bond issue? Since you're here.
They're going to have on the 20th, there will be Mount Anthony speaking about the bond at that day, that meeting. So for anybody that had questions or concerns, they will be able to chime in at the Mount Anthony board meeting. The time hadn't been set, but it's probably be a 6:30 meeting or something.
And that would be at the middle school.
That would be, well, I think it's going to be part Zoom and in the middle school. We've been doing both, but I'm not sure. That notice just came out today as far as the date.
Okay. All right. So anybody who's interested in learning more about the project would be advised to attend the meeting.
Ray, on top of your head, can you remember the total amount of that bond?
No, I don't know the amount actually.
It's
So Leon,
3.5 it's 3.5
Right,
million.
What?
It's
3.5
million.
What?
3.5 million. It's for renovating the field and those stands and clubhouse, whatever.
bathroom, yeah.
Yep.
I'll send you a sample copy of the ballot. I just
No,
printed
you
them all.
did actually before. I mean, I saw all that and I have it, but $3.5
Yeah.
million to renovate. Are we talking about the entire athletic field facility there? All the,
Yeah, it gives you dimensions on that ballot.
I need to take a
Yeah.
closer look, but
Yeah, there's a
that's
lot.
really, that's really something. And this
And-
came out of the this was proposed by the middle school board and
High school
High school
board.
board. Yeah.
the high school board,
Well,
MAU.
it's the same board. but-
right? Now, wait a minute.
So Leon, this will resurface the track with synthetic materials, is that correct? And will take up the grass and actually replace it with synthetic, is that correct?
That's correct. So like I said, the biggest thing is if you have questions or concerns and
Yep.
about anybody in terms of supporting that, then
Right.
they're going to have a group of people that can answer all your questions. You can send it in, some questions if you want to. Some people have in advance so they can be answered
Right.
for you.
And, yep, one of those was about PFOA content and
That's correct.
and that was answered negatively by the manufacturer. That they said there was none,
Oh, in the
certified there
turf.
was none.
Yeah.
I would, there are other questions that could come up about drainage issues. Because it's an impervious surface, water is gonna, how the water's gonna be dealt with, it's gonna be coming off of it. So. All right, thank you
I
very
gotta
much.
pay more
Leon.
attention to this stuff because I'm a little bit gobsmacked by that notion. I'm sorry to
Yep.
share my own opinion, but
All right, so, it does, people do need to come out and attend the meeting to learn and make sure they can make up their minds based on information. And that's a separate meeting, Leon, or it's a regular meeting of the board? It's the
It's
regular
gonna be-
meeting.
Regular meeting on the 20th,
Okay,
and that would be a big part of that meeting.
okay, yep. All right, well, thank you for being here, Leon, and commenting on it.
Yep.
So if there's no other comments, I would suggest we adjourn this.
I'll make such motion.
All right, I think we're all in favor. We don't even have to vote,
Second.
so,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bill.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Till next time.